So I think we are good to go. It's about
Yes, of course. Of course.
So a very good evening, everyone, and a very happy Women's Day. I'm Asmita, Center Head JMA, and I welcome you all on behalf of Jamshedpur Management Association. For this year's Women's Day celebration, we have three eminent women joining us from three corners of country. Before introducing them, I would like to request Mr. Amitabh Bhattacharjee, Secretary JMA, to please give a brief context of today's program. Amitabh sir is an alumni of XLRI. Mr. Amitabh Bhattacharjee has more than 20 years of experience with Tata Steel, covering operations, strategy, transformation programs, etc. Currently, he is leading the newly curved business line in Tata Metallics as Chief of Technical Services Business. He is also leading JMA as CEO or Honorary Secretary for last 4 years. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Asmita. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think happy Women's Day to all the ladies present this evening. This is the third year in a row JMA is celebrating Women's Day. And we have two special guests this evening, Ms Nina Chatrath from Enhanced Consulting, who is the guest speaker for the evening, and Dr. Shravasti Chakravarty from XLRI New Delhi. She is the moderator for the panel discussion. We also have my fellow JMA board member, Dr. Poornima Baliga. She is the Dean of Manipal Tata Medical College. Welcome to you all. It's a pleasure having you all here. Ashmita will introduce the ladies in detail going forward. Just to set the context, women play a very important role in the society, whether it's mother, sister, wife, daughter, or colleagues. In recent time, women have achieved in all spheres of life, whether it's the corporate, whether it's academics, armed forces, and many more. I think there is no place and profession which is untouched by women today. In recent time, there is too much of focus and drive on the gender equality, and rightly so. But we want to remind people that women had a very special place in our society for ages. And that was because of their uniqueness and special qualities. This is our topic for the panel discussion this evening, gender equality versus celebrating uniqueness. We have a good number of participants this evening to debate this out. I think this is the first program on the agenda. Then we will all have the opportunity to listen to Ms. Nina Chatrath, who is the guest speaker for the evening. So with this, I will hand over the session to Asmita and wish everyone a wonderful evening full of insights and knowledge. Thanks, Asmita, and back to you.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to introduce our speaker of today, Ms. Nina Chatrath. With over 20 years of business and consulting experience, Ms. Chatrath focuses on the impact of leadership on business performance, organization building, and the management of talent. She started leadership consulting in global search firms and worked as a partner in Heydrich and Struggles, and earlier with Com and Ferry Internationals. While in leadership consulting, Ms. Chatrath has consulted to a range of blue-chip clients, multinational companies, and Indian businesses across various industries. She has successfully conducted organization and business impacting behavioral interventions spanning the top tier of leadership and helped to cascade these across the organization. Some of the key areas of institutional building that Nina specializes in are around creating a robust leadership pipeline, succession, planning, leadership talent benchmarking, all leading to impact performance and drive organizational excellence. She moved to the people side of the business in 2001, instituting a process-centric approach using models like People Capability Maturity Model, and then transitioned to the behavioral side of leadership and personal effectiveness with Dale Carnegie. She has been instrumental in creating innovative behavioral-based development initiatives for leaders and assessment projects, evaluating executives' behavior, which bear a direct correlation to positive motivation and engagement in executives. Her early years prior to consulting were largely in business development roles across hospitality, retail, and technology sectors. When not navigating through organizational blueprints and devising solutions for them, Nina delivers through provoking ideas in sphere of leadership across many organizational and academic forums, that is NHRD, CII, IMA, and SIBM, etc. She also serves in the HR committee of India's Apex Industry Forum, CII. Nina also guides the organizations and leadership on the business landscape and their leadership and talent implications through her writings for leading business publications like The Economic Times, Hindustan Times, and Business Today. Nina Chatrath is a founder of Enhance Consulting, a boutique leadership consulting firm based in New Delhi. Welcome, ma'am. Nina ma'am would be delivering her talk after the panel discussion. She's also the jury for the competition. So I would like to go on and keep introducing the ladies. So next is our chief guest today is JMA's very own executive board member, Dr. Poornima Baliga. Dr. Baliga completed MBBS and MD in pathology from Kasturba Medical College, Mangalore. She has a vast teaching experience with undergrads and postgrads for 32 years. Currently, she is the Dean of Manipal Tata Medical College, Jamshedpur. Apart from being an academic expert, she also holds a bachelor's degree in Indian classical music and dance, Bharatnatyam. Welcome, Poornima ma'am. And our last guest and the moderator of today's panel discussion is Dr. Shravasti Chakravarty. She has recently joined the XLRI Delhi NCR campus as a managerial communication faculty member. She has a PhD in English language education from the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. She has taught ESL and EFL across age groups in India and Uzbekistan. Welcome, Shravasti. So with this, I would like to welcome you all. Thank you for joining us. And can we proceed to the panel discussion with the due permission? All right. So let me announce the panelists for today. Kindly turn on your camera and respond as I announce the names. So first panelist is Ms. Pratyasha Dash from Tata Steel. Pratyasha, are you there? Please respond.
Yeah, hi.
Hello. Thank you. Next is Mr. Anand Mandal from Tata Steel.
Hello.
Anand sir.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hello. Good evening. Mr. Sarabjit Chatterjee from Tata Steel.
Ashmit, if it is okay, please unshare your screen so we can see the.
Of course, yeah. Sarabjit sir, your video is not coming through.
I think there is some problem in my network. Good afternoon to all.
All right. Next panelist is Ms. Simrandeep Kaur. Simran, are you there?
Hello, hi. Yes, hi, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I'm logging into my phone. My laptop has speaker issues, but good evening to everybody. Yeah.
Good evening. Next is Ms. Shreedhara Goswami.
Hi, Ashmita. Hello, everyone. I hope I am visible and audible to everyone.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Priyanka Kumari from Tata Power.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope visible and.
Yeah, Priyanka, thank you. Ms. Moushami Bhakat from JCAPCPL.
Hello everyone, this is Moushami Bhakat from JCAPCPL.
Hi, Moushami, thank you for joining in. And we also have Mr. Siddiqur Rahman joining in from Tata Power. He will join in a little late, he has informed. So thank you all to all the participants. First of all, congratulations for becoming the panelists, the shortlisted ones. Now I would like to ask Nina ma'am if you have any words of wisdom for the panelists before they start in the competition.
Good evening to all of you. I am eagerly awaiting for the panel discussion. I can see that everyone has done their homework and they've, I've read through some of the content that you have submitted. I'm looking forward. So all the best, and let's see. I think a couple of thoughts as you embark on the panel discussion are really that let's be very clear. Are you for the motion? Are you against the motion? And are you also appreciating the other point of view? I think keep that in mind as you talk. And it's basically going to come from the content that you've already shared, but you feel free to go beyond. Don't read it, just talk about it. I think that's going to be interesting. So back to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So once again, all the best. And now I will hand it over to Dr. Shravasti.
Thank you so much, Ashmita. Very good afternoon to everyone present today for this going to be enthralling panel discussion that we are all awaiting, eagerly so. And before we go into the discussion, let me just announce the topic once again. That is gender equality versus celebrating uniqueness. So as the esteemed judge has already, Ms. Nina Chatrath has already pointed out to you, it'll be nice if you can, during the course of your presentation, make it clear which side is it that you are going to be speaking on. Nevertheless, if it comes to a conclusion, that is also perfectly fine. Now, may I please request the panelists to start taking turns and speaking what they have to put forward. I now request our first panelist, that is Ms. Pratyasha Dash from Tata Steel, to please make your presentation. Over to you, Ms. Pratyasha.
Yeah, hi everyone. So, I'm visible.
Could you please, yes.
I'm visible, right? So, yeah, my topic is like gender equality versus celebrating uniqueness. I'll go for I won't find gender equality has been on the turn right now. So I'll select a topic like unbreakable chains of women. That will be my topic for today. So I'll start. Women are adorable creatures created by God who wear patience and humbleness as their ornaments, who are the future givers, who are superior to men in every aspect. This is my methodology, my viewpoint, who bleed all their life for the prime existence. But they are also the ones who are raped, molested, and men advocate methods of selling a woman's flesh out of a dignity to earn money. So, but in this era of science, technology, and modernity with the righteous thoughts and spirituality, many questions need to be answered. Women are made to accept the patriarchal system as natural, and they are bound to follow so as the generations. So, from ancient times, we have heard about Devdashi Pratha, where Devdashis danced in front of gods and goddesses for spiritual purposes and were used later on as prostitutes by the priests and landlords. For example, we can state in a fight, a man poured acid on a wife's face, a husband beating his wife for money, a girl being victim to a gang of loafers. These are some of the examples which are casted on newspapers and are condoled for, in which women are subdued and so are assailable. So, how did it become possible to distinguish among two distinct beings? Like, how can we distinguish two distinct beings created by the same Almighty? In historical writings, we see the atrocities of men writing their own skills in warfare, their bravery, and their dominance in law and order. So, had anyone thought why women were not allowed to express their views, why women were not given the right to speak about their achievements, the tasks they did same as men? Why were they not appreciated or praised for? As today's generation is unaware of the past glory of women, they fall in the trap devised by men. Men think women lacuna lies in knowledge and wisdom, but they fail to realize if women are endorsed with the same education, with the same platform, they will wear the intelligence as the crowns and excel in every field. So, as we know, every man in this world is born out of the flesh of a woman. If you educate a man, you will educate only a man. But if you educate a woman, you'll educate a generation. So, why do men claim women are capable of reproducing and hence it's necessary that women should look after the children? Yes, women have the biological system to reproduce children and not men. This is nowhere to be assumed that women should be confined to within the four walls and spend the life nurturing their child. Why can't men take care of the child? Aren't they capable of raising them with utmost care and affection? Yes, they are, but they seemingly accept the cultural changes and free themselves from biological necessity. A gender biased society should use the intellect to think that women can win in all spheres, in addition to her professional work, household chores, or perhaps taking care of her children. If this is considered and analyzed, then I would think women are superior to men. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pratyasha, for that very brief and yet very pertinent presentation of your points. I would like to quickly add a point to indicate the unbreakable chain concept. Recently, I read this motivational story, in which adult elephants were tied by a very loose rope, and they were not really making any effort to break free. So the person who was observing it asked the mahout, how is it that the elephants are not escaping, knowing very well that it's a very loose rope which is tied? To which the mahout answered, you see, when these elephants were younger, the very same ropes were enough to hold them back. So that idea that the rope holds them back is what the elephant carries even into adulthood. Perhaps it is this very chain that we women need to break in order to fly high. Thank you so much, Ms.
Right.
Pratyasha. And with this, I now request Mr. Anand to please tell us your views about gender equality versus equity. Over to you.
Yes, I think I am visible and audible.
Yes, you are. Please continue.
Gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow is the theme of this year's International Women's Day. This day is celebrated to identify the contributions made by women across the world. This day also spread awareness about women empowerment and gender parity. So, related to our topic, that is celebrating gender equality versus celebrating uniqueness. In 2015, 193 countries from United Nations has taken 15 sustainable development goals, in which goal 5 is that gender equality. Now, gender equity is about being fair to all the genders, and gender equity leads to gender equality, and gender equality is possible by means of women empowerment. And it is also mentioned in goal 5 out of the 15 sustainable development goals that women empowerment by 2030 shall be done, so that gender equality is spread across the world. Now, coming to gender equality, I would like to focus on the uh, 10 things, 10 facts about gender equality. Means 10 advantages of attaining gender equality. Tackling the gender gap will boost global GDP. Second one is progress towards gender equality has been marginal since 2015, large gaps remain. Third one, over the past 2 decades, while the women in advanced economies have made large gains as workers, consumers, and savers, they have faced rising cost and insecurity as well. Fourth one, women contribute to work double shift at home. What my colleague had just figured out, that biological part and all. Fifth one is the women as the growing challenges from automation. Nowadays, you all might be aware that we are moving towards a technical advanced stage in which we are going to implement AI ML across the industries. And in this case, women are lacking a bit. Sixth one is the challenge of women is now even greater as they experience economic fallout during COVID-19. Many women had lost their jobs during COVID-19. Seventh is that we can grow our way out of some gender equality issues, but not others. Eighth is the companies that are gender and ethically diverse can outperform their peers. Ninth one is that the corporate careers for women is leaking, especially early on. And the last one is all stakeholders needs to work together to maintain and accelerate progress on gender equality. Now coming to the gender equality versus equality, that equality, as I mentioned earlier, leads to equality, and true equity can be made when no assumption about one's ability based on gender can be made. It should be purely based on their skills, responsibility, and the performance out of the jobs or roles assigned to them. So my point here in the topic that gender equality versus celebrating uniqueness will be for uniqueness means that we should focus ourselves towards each one's ability to perform the jobs, not on the gender or sex. So also the 10 things what I mentioned, that if we make our environment soother to the women around us, then the GDP, global GDP will increase. And one thing that is nowadays also women face a lot of problems while at office, that some of the points has already been mentioned, that they face some sexual harassment at offices and all. So if we can address those points, then we can also give a comfortable environment to the women. And one more thing I just want to add is that since by means of gender, women are assigned a double shift at home, so it is always preferable to give a flexible working hours to the women, so that more and more women will participate in the job and they can take some and they can contribute to the policy and corporate roles. So that is also that this issue also need to be addressed in this. And with less than 10 years in hand to attain the 15 goals, 15 SDG, what has been devised by United Nations, we have to do a lot of things to put gender equality in place across the world.
Thank you, Mr. Ananda, for your thoughts on the topic today. Just to quickly add to what you have said, a budding engineer, Pratik Alkesh, in 2009, has spoken along the similar lines and talks about how the concept of equity needs between the two genders needs to be brought into the forte, not only in the workplace, but also within the confines of the home, to ensure that there is real equity being met out to the women. which basically brings us to the concept of human value and dignity, and how equity is in terms of human value and dignity when we talk about equality of the two genders. With this, may I now request Mr. Siddiqur Rahman, if you have joined us already, to please take the discussion forward. Over to you.
Uh, a very good afternoon and a happy International Women's Day. First of all, at the very outset, I thank Jamshedpur Management Association for organizing this discussion or this session, which is very contemporary, to say the least. I represent Tata Power. I am the Chief of Projects of Tata Power Generation Cluster. I come from an organization which at the Jamshedpur level has its gender diversity as 10%. That is the 10% of our entire employee strength at our Jamshedpur division are women. Whereas in the overall national basis, this percentage goes up to 15%. This is much on the lower side if we consider that among the human species, men and women are statistically equal in number. It should have been 50-50. As an organization, we acknowledge that, and our organization as a whole has been working to remove this disparity. And in coming decades, we look at equating these numbers. And during my this entire speech, I will walk out what are the very many aspects which are in fact impediments to this gender equality, and how in the past days or in the coming days we have been addressing that and wish to address that to further this equality aspect. First of all, if we see from the dawn of civilization, certain works has been traditionally identified as men's jobs. Certain jobs are defined as women's job, thinking as if the other one, that is women's species, they are probably not capable of doing such jobs. But due to the contribution of many individuals, if I can take the name of Indra Nui, if I can take the names of Kalpana Chawla, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, Mrs. Siri Mahbub Bandar Naik, so they have undoubtedly and during the last century itself have proven that the leadership positions are not defined and restricted to any particular species, and ladies, women, they are at ease with performing this responsibility. So by their being the glorious role model, they have paved way for all other ladies to come forward to dare these obstacles. So that is one. Second, gradually as we are progressing from zero representation or 5% representation, like I shall give an example. I am a product of IIT Kharagpur in the 80s, late 80s and 90s. During our days, there was very humble representation of the ladies, but not so more. Today, the ladies' representation is to the tune of 40 to 50%, and Ministry of Education, Ministry of Science and Technology, they are working hand in hand to enhance this participation so that we can have representation of the fairer gender in the workplaces. Presence of ladies in the workplace enhances certain aspects. Because ladies represent beauty, they represent care, they represent aesthetics, they represent ethics. Even by very advanced studies, it has been found that ladies are in the side of ethics, ethical compliance, or not performing anything unethical, and being the safety conscious, being the discipline conscious, in that they are always ahead. So having a team of the ladies members definitely enhances sustainability of the workplace, enhances the workspaces where we work, that is more livable, and it is better and it is compliant. Uh, we can give in a number of examples of certain professions which in fact have seen preeminence of the ladies, like the caregiving industry. If we talk about the hospitality industry, if we talk about the aviation sectors, the flight stewards and flight stewardesses, in that sector we can see that the presence of ladies had always been there. But with the advent of the new century and new civilization, we are finding that not only those sectors and those clusters, but also in all other areas, be it nuclear technology, be it the various armed forces, be it in the space research, be it in the nuclear research, in all stages, ladies are coming up and coming up with uh, great success, with flying colors. Before ending, I shall end with a quote of Indra Nui, where in one of her recent interviews with the Tata Steel fraternity, she has mentioned the one aspect, that ladies are very well equipped to handle both the workspace responsibility and responsibility at home. So that makes one a very complete professional. So both the aspects of one's responsibility, the responsibilities related to delivering his responsibilities at workplace or as an able family members. So handling these two responsibilities at equal poise, equal ease, that requires the kind of maturity which has been traditionally the ladies are doing. So on the eve of this World Women's Day, International Women's Day, I hope that in coming days we see a more sustainable, more equitable workplace with more and more representation of the ladies. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahman, for shedding light to our discussion today. Well, indeed, it was a very well presented argumentation. I would like to add here the words of Daniel Kahneman, a very famous American psychologist who talks about the concept of priming, which means that there are certain ideas and words which are embedded in the minds of human beings, of thinking individuals, which enable us which make us act and react in a certain way. Perhaps growing up in children, both boys and girls, it is this concept of thinking beyond what is the norm is what will enable us to eventually reach an equitable state between the genders. Having said this, I now request Mr. Sarabjit Chatterjee to please shed light on your perspective of women's identity beyond the family. Over to you, Mr. Sarabjit.
Good evening, Shravasti. Sorry for not being able to portray my photo because of the network issues. First of all, I take the privilege. I am really privileged to be a part of this panel discussion on such an important topic in which we all know that what is the role of women. Uh, so, uh, so I've heard the things what the Pratyasha or Shravasti or Mr. Siddiqur has already told about in this uh, panel discussion. I'll just take a clue of what you actually touched upon. The you said very important things, that elephant carrying the rope even when they're adult, and there is a portray what you are saying, that why the elephant is not trying to break away from the rope. So if I correlate that with the breaking the bias, what is basically the most important thing in this International Women's Day. That reminds me of the thing what you rightly said now, the concept of priming. That is the perception. What is the perception in my mind that you see that in all the areas, in all the spheres of life, the thing what we are saying that men are superior than women. What is this thing? We are being grown up in such a society in which we are being continuously fed into that women are a inferior sex. Why this type of gender inequality is there? We are speaking of gender equality in this day, this International Women's Day, just to apprise the entire panel members that this International Women's Day started in the year long back, 111 years back, in the year 1911 when we started this thing, and then this basically started because of by the Socialist Party of America to honor women in the garment industry who went on a strike just to protest the working conditions. And there, what we found that just to honor those women, this movement started. But in the course of the discussion, what I found personally is basically we are speaking of gender equality versus celebrating uniqueness. But if I am speaking of the celebrating uniqueness, what I find that you woman, if I just take the acronym woman, W stands for a wonderful wife, O stands for a outstanding friend, M stands for a marvelous daughter, A for a adorable sister, N for a nurturing mother. So in the woman, I find somebody can say that the acronym is this one. But if I just say the other side of the coin, there is a man in every woman, a he in every she, and a hero in every heroine. So we are just discussing about that giving equal opportunity to demonstrate herself. Is that required in today's world? I would like to ask my panel members that we are speaking of gender equality, but is it really required? We need to change the perception. We need to change the perception because the celebrating uniqueness is more important today. Because if I just name some few Indians, like if I name the first female physician in 1887 who traveled to America, Ananda Joshi. Or if I speak of the first Indian woman biker who traveled from the Kanyakumari to Kashmir, Rohini Sharma. If I speak about the first woman auto rickshaw driver in Pune, Sila Dawade, which is basically auto driver, is basically a mains area where she ventured into. Was gender equality given? Was she given that equal platform? But because of her uniqueness, she is now teaching the different the candidates for driving auto rickshaws. She has started her academy. If I speak of Arunima Sinha, first female amputee to climb Mount Everest, even no man can think of that. But was that gender equality important for Arunima Sinha, or that celebrating uniqueness was very important? So we have to understand that what we are discussing, the gender equality is a perception, but the most important thing is the uniqueness in every woman. The uniqueness in that women are not given the proper platform, but when provided with such an opportunity, it is only their uniqueness that win accolades. We have seen Rita Feria, first in Asian woman who won Miss World in the long back in the area 1966. Aditi Shah, the English Channel crossed in 1959. We can speak of Kiran Bedi in the Indira Gandhi. We can speak of Matangini Hazra, Rani Lakshmi Bai. There are lot many candidates, lot many examples are there in which the uniqueness has only prevailed. The gender equality did not deprive them of that demonstrating their uniqueness and winning accolades for the entire India as a country, or even in the world. We can see that the uniqueness in every woman is more important as a part of this society. Hence, the most important thing is that we have to nurture, we have to give that confidence to our young daughter, to our sister, that please, please forget the gender equality. It is every human being has a uniqueness, and that uniqueness is what matters. Then gender equality comes later on. The uniqueness only can prove that gender equality is a false bias, false thing. What we are trying to do, some what Mr. Siddiqui is saying that we are trying to do in this industry, trying to culture to remove those biases. It is not required. The main thing is that required is that to give the confidence to that small child, to that small woman, to that small poor girl child in the rural or in the urban area, to give the confidence. Yes, you can do. Nobody can prevent you from doing if you have that uniqueness. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chatterjee, for adding your comments to the panel discussions today. Keeping in mind that concept of retaining the uniqueness, would therefore the concept of gender fluidity be more important than focusing on gender equality? I now request Ms. Moushami Bhakat to please shed light on this. Over to you, Ms. Moushami.
Hello, ma'am. Actually, I'm on the way. So, can I just take 5 minutes to come back to this? I'm on the way traveling right now. Can you just give me 2 minutes of time?
All right. We will proceed to the next panelist in that case, and you will get your turn towards the end.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. May I now request Ms. Simrandeep to please come up and share your views on the topic with us today?
Sure, sure. Hi, am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thanks a lot for this opportunity. Basically, the opportunity to voice my opinion. That is also kind of a big factor. So, yeah. Anyway, so I would first of all, I would like to make it clear. Like, I will stay at a very menial and a low level, if we can, frame it that way. I will state the perspective of a very normal woman living in a very normal society like me, and from her perspective, what gender equality means and what uniqueness means. So I will state all the factors supporting that particular perspective. So first of all, I would like to start off by saying like celebration is something, that is basically a positive or very enjoyable event. So that all these factors are not present in the reasons we fight for gender equality. That is the word that basically is an adjective when we talk about gender equality. That means that we need to fight for gender equality. That is the very first reason that proves how much required gender equality is. So by my, this is where I want to, say that I support the cause of gender equality. That's my for basically. So and like I said, I would like to initiate by from a girl child, basically, from the level of a girl child where she doesn't know what gender equality means. And she sees the difference of that in her family when probably her elder brother or even her younger brother and herself, there are differences in the instructions by the parents, and there are differences in the treatment as well. I am not saying it is bad. The intention of the parents is very good. The intention is majorly protection from all the parents perspective. But if that protection is explained about in a different way than stopping a girl child from doing what is okay for the boy to do, that would show a more positive response in her future. Because when she leaves the house, when she does not have parents to instruct her and guide her of how to protect herself, I wouldn't say all, but most of them fail protecting themselves because they don't know who to protect themselves from, because their parents have tried to protect them from every single body that is around them. So that is where the whole idea of gender equality starts, the idea basically. Then I would like to, go a level up basically and say the rituals of our country, where a girl child is celebrated when she attains puberty, when she, starts menstruating. Uh, she is celebrated for the fact that she has attained puberty and that, she has attained the ability to bear a child. Thankfully, by the laws, not anymore less than 21 years of age, but she has attained that capability and she is celebrated. But what I don't understand is the same girl, when she undergoes the same thing in the upcoming future months is stopped, is warned against coming in contact with the very religious and holy, equipment that the family uses. So I don't know how that celebration is towards a positive direction. How is that a celebration? Then, then there are a lot of questions basically every woman has. Now, I won't want to go into statistics, majorly because numbers are everybody's game, but nobody follows the numbers. There are no numbers that are being basically followed and looked towards, to bridge the gap. That is what we call between gender equality. So instead of numbers, I would like to go for basic questions that a normal woman like me has. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So factors like, I am very much, appreciate the fact that with through decades, things have improved. Women are given the opportunity and the abilities they are judged by their abilities. But I don't understand the fact that when she is, maybe these are just very basic examples. When she is standing outside on the road, maybe say at 10 p.m., she is approached towards and warned to go inside because she is in danger. But when the same thing happens to a male, the warning doesn't come from anybody, nobody cares. That is a very superficial. I have heard stories, I have seen things happening like that in front of my eyes. Then second example is the kind of I would bring in is a decision making. I have spoken to women and heard stories about where they are incapable of making their decisions, not because they have decided in their mind what is okay for them. Even when it comes to their health part, there are issues, there are conditions which cannot be cured, which are a taboo. And when we speak to them about it, they understand that and they want a cure for that. But they have to discuss it with the male member of the family and get their consent before going towards it. And that consent is a very much underrated. It's an underrated word, the meaning of which is not being understood by the other members of the society. If the woman has to seek consent for even doing something that is beneficial for her, then I do not understand the fact why does the consent given by a woman is not, said okay to, is basically appreciated or expressed or agreed to. So, I mean, that's my major, these are my major points where I want to say. And I also want to bring into picture where this is just a decision making factor that I brought in. There are other factors which includes economy, which includes poverty, which includes health, which includes, girls, which violence with girls starting from 9 months of age till 90 years of age. If that window of difference is also not visible, the age window of is also not visible, then I fail to understand where the gender window will be visible. So I would just like to end by this point, and thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ms. Simrandeep, for shedding light to the concept of how important it is to try and achieve gender equality in our society, and where perhaps rather than celebrating uniqueness, the need of the hour is to try and equalize things. In keeping with the same lines, I now request Ms. Shreedhara Goswami to make her presentation. Her stance is very unique. She also brings in the concept of the third gender and how equality means to them. Over to you, Ms. Shreedhara.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, I'll just request, I think I'm facing some network issues. In case you have any problems hearing me, please let me know, then I'll switch off.
I will let you know. Okay. I'll let you know, but now you may continue, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Firstly, thank you, JMA, for considering my entry for this panel discussion and selecting it. I'm really obliged. I had some few points. I was hearing my esteemed colleagues from the different organizations, and I really appreciate the kind of views that have been presented. But I would like to go a step ahead. All we have been talking, as Ms. Shravasti rightly said, we have been talking about men and women. I think we are beyond that right now, right? With India recognizing the third gender, I think we must speak for all and use a platform like this to speak for those who have not been provided a platform like this, probably. So I would just like to start off, like, I would like to start off. I think if the changing face of the modern society is anything to go by, I think that explains a lot why we need gender equality, and probably celebrating uniqueness can be the next phase once we have achieved gender equality to the level that we probably are happy with. At the moment, I will start off with, I am for gender equality first, and then probably next phase being celebrating uniqueness. And I would like to support my idea with a few references, starting from history. As I had put down in my write-up as well, let's start off with the situation that was created in Europe and the US post the back-to-back world wars. So, the world wars required the men folk to be deputed to the war zones. There was a lack of men to take care of the jobs that were traditionally the men's jobs, so-called men's jobs. And the women had to rise up to the occasion and handle those chores. The aplomb with which this women folk actually handled the physically arduous task of factories, shipyards, arms and ammunitions, it made the government of those countries stand up and recognize their efforts. Post the world wars, the government actually came up with propagandas which would facilitate the recruitment of women in fields and areas which were traditionally male dominated. And the perfect example from that part is Miss Rosie Derivetta. If we can all see, I think we have all seen posters of this, fierce looking blonde lady with a bandana on her head and flexing her muscles, showing off her biceps and saying, we can do it. That was one of the, I think that was one situation where women were like places where women were traditionally not given chances in, were given a chance and they excelled in it. I would come down to a few years later, in 1967, Ms. Catherine Schwitzer became the first woman to officially complete a marathon. So how did that come into the picture? So she had to actually, it was a very interesting story. She had to put in her name as KV Schwitzer because, and no one doubted it. They thought it was a male. There was no option of marking yourself as male or female because female were not expected to take part in a marathon. And they had some really interesting arguments. In one of her interviews, Ms. Schwitzer had said that at that point of time, the opinion was if a woman completes a full marathon, if she runs that 42 plus kilometers, her features will transform to that of a man. She will cease to be a woman and become a man. A doctor had directly told her, apparently, that if you complete the race, if you complete a marathon, your uterus will fall out of your body. These were some of the interesting things. And even in the case of, my point here is, I think the thing that changed post that is the perspective. I think women were given a chance in male-dominated areas, and when they excelled, we got to know that there is another uniqueness to women. It was not just childbearing and rearing. They can actually excel in physically arduous tasks as well, right? And let's look at some of the female-dominated areas. Cooking, traditionally said it's a woman's job. Kitchen can be looked after by a female, but professional kitchen all over the world are male dominated. The most popular chefs of the world are men, right? And second thing, we also say that, yeah, women have this childbearing capability, but in the modern world, when we have stay-at-home dads and they're doing a really fine job, I think child rearing is not exactly a female's job. A man can do it perfectly well. So I think that uniqueness is not based in genders, it is based in people. Like we have people-specific uniqueness and not gender-specific uniqueness. Another thing, what I would like to point out, I was going through a particular research paper that was written by one PhD scholar in Annamalai University called Historical Evolution of Transgender Community in India. So, before the colonial rule came to India, transgenders held positions like of political advisors, administrators, generals in the royal courts. After the British came into the picture, they were repulsed by these eunuchs dancing on the roads and celebrating. That's why and going forward, as they were repulsed and they couldn't understand why they carried so much, why they had so much of importance in the royal courts, why they were given so much of respect. So they started to criminalize this particular gender. As we have seen, whatever happens, whatever the situation is now is post a colonial rule. The British even went to the extent of criminalizing the particular gender by carrying out the Criminal Tribal Act in the year 1871, sorry, and we are facing the repercussions even now, though situations have changed. So yeah, without I don't think we as a society are yet developed enough to fully understand what are the uniqueness of each gender, right? Until and unless we give all the genders to have a proper representation on the various fields, I don't think we can as a society can pinpoint which gender is capable of what. So I think gender equality is the way to go initially, so that everyone gets a fair chance with adequate representation, and after that definitely we can think of celebrating the uniqueness of all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shreedhara, for bringing to our attention such interesting examples from history that have actually paved the way for women to be where we are today. Having said this, I now request Ms. Priyanka Kumari to bring in the concept of women's empowerment policy that has further enabled to cement the position of gender equality. Over to you, Ms. Priyanka.
Thank you, ma'am. So, good evening, everyone.
Is it possible for you to turn on your video, my dear?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, I will start by a quote which says that there is a man in every woman, he in every sea, and a hero in every heroine. Give her an equal opportunity, and you will see the benefit with your own eyes. The first question which comes in our mind is, what is gender equality? Why do we need it? Generally, many people have this question, and this is very this question moves around very much. So gender equality means fairness of treatment of women and men according to their respective needs. This may include equal treatment or treatment that is different but is considered equivalent in terms of right, benefits, obligations, and opportunities. We need gender equality urgently because gender equality prevents violence against women and girls. It is essential for economic prosperity. Societies that value women and men are equal and safer as much as the narrow-minded societies. Gender empowerment, the 2020 Gender Equality and Women Empowerment Policy affirms that vision of prosperous and peaceful world in which women, girls, men, boys enjoy equal economic, social, cultural, civil, as well as political rights and are equally empowered to secure better lives for themselves, their family, and their communities, even their countries. On average, women around the world do 3 times as much as unpaid work at home as men, including household work and caring for children and family members. Many of these women are also work full-time or part-time careers. Gender equality in this example would like splitting up at home work as evenly as possible between all gender of a household, so that the burden of taking care of home can be not on just on women. Even the men can also help the women in home, whether in a workplace, within a religious group, at a community center, or any group or setting. People, all gender deserve to feel safe and be free of bullying and allegations, sexual harassment, and prejudice based on gender. A society that appreciates and upholds gender equality does not allow for offensive comments, harassment, etc. to be tolerated in any form. When all genders receive equal job opportunities, society benefits Studies show that a diverse workplace is a more productive workplace. And in this diversity includes gender diversity. This success in the workplace translates into economy as well. When equal job opportunities given to all genders, poverty rate are reduced, communities are uplifted, and nation GDP is significantly improved. Gender equality in equation benefit every child within the school system. Girls who receive an education have a higher likelihood to be a healthy and more productive, earning higher incomes. It is said that when a girl is educated, his one family is educated. This in turn contributes to a social economy that benefit all gender and lead to a better health within a community. According to UNICEF, when a girl receives a secondary education, her lifetime earning increases, the national growth rate increases, child marriage rates decline, child mortality rate decline, maternal mortality rate falls, and child stunning drops. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Priyanka, for getting such interesting statistics to our attention today. Although we are running short of time, may I quickly request Ms. Moushami Bhakat, if you are free now to kindly make your give us your inputs.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Actually, I'm extremely sorry. I was on the way towards home. That's the reason I cannot join. So first of all, I think I am visible.
Yes, please continue.
Yeah. Good morning, good evening, everyone. So this is Moushami Bhakat from JCAPCPL. I'll keep my points very short and simple. Now, what I believe that equality is already been given. A woman is a human. Now, whatever we see now, that this world is full of surprises through few and profound sorrows. Look outdoor with an optimism for a better tomorrow. Now, as I say that, what is gender equality? Why we need the? Why are we discussing on this topic? What I feel that on today's date, gender equality is required because this day came into existence because there were some points, there were some gaps. Just to bog them gaps, just to fill that gaps, this entire concept of celebrating the gender equality or International Women's Day is being created. So we are seeing that down below the generations or down below, there were many issues like pay gap was there. Many people have a misogony that the women's are there, how will be they if they are kept in an industry, whether they will be giving the same output or not. So many things were there. All these things, all these intentions, all this to question down all these problems today, just to end up all these practices, the entire Women's Day, the celebration of Women's Day actually came into existence. Now I'll just start up very quickly, very small things. That a woman, if I am working in a company, if I am working in a company, then what if I have been given a task, I am working for 8 hours, and one of our male colleague, he is also working for 8 hours. Suddenly, if a company is going through any problem, any crisis situations comes in the company, so I'll be giving my 12 hours of time in that company, and my male colleague, he will also give 12 hours of time in that company. But where the difference comes in? The difference comes in that when he is working towards the company to improve the things, to improve the crisis, whatever the problems, I am doing the same thing, but with the same point of time, I'll just think that I'll ask him whether you want a cup of coffee. This is what a woman is all about. This is what I think, that being a woman, I can think this. I today I in this world we are seeing that everyone is working together. Like if it is a Sunday, if I am telling that okay, if my male colleagues can give me a call on Sunday and he asks me that okay, just do a work for half an hour or for 1 2 hours, so I can say him that today being a woman, I have some my household works, I have some more responsibilities towards my house also. But that time it comes up ki he's a man colleague, he's a person, he is working in the company, so why cannot being a woman, I'm having a household go, I'm sitting idly, because it conveys in that way. But do it, is it the same way? We are the women. I believe I've been a woman. I'm taking care of my family. Then I'm going back to then I'm going back to the office. I'm taking care of the things over there, and all those things comes around. So means women's when a men come late, when a men come back from the office after 8 hours of job or 10 hours of job, he's been set to home and he's been sitting around like, yeah, he have done a lot of work. But what about a woman? A woman coming back from office, after that she is taking care of the entire family. So yes, gender equality, though we say that this problem, this equality does not exist, people everywhere we are getting the same thing, women are getting same thing, they are getting opportunities. Our past history also says that women are getting opportunities, but I do believe that still today this difference exists. And yes, we need this equality. We don't need this equality, I won't say we need this equality, but people should understand that this equality, there is some need, there is definitely some point is there, a need is there. And I would definitely like to say introduce or put on light that the government of India law, he have also taken a law of gender equality in 2011, where where the law exactly talks about eliminating the discrimination wherever there is a discrimination in employment or in training or in requirement recruitment. So there was a law been introduced in 2011 where this gender equality or gender discrimination was being completely finished off. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moushami, for contributing to the discussion today. Although, Ms. Asmita, is there any time that we have remaining for taking some questions from the audience, or do I have to wrap it up? Ms. Asmita?
Yeah, I'm here. I would say that you can take it up forward.
All
You
right.
can
Thank
have
you
the
so much.
questions in the chat box if the audience feels so.
Yes, I now request our members of the audience to please raise your hands and ask your questions if you have any. Or you could also type it into the chat box and I can read it out for you. While we are waiting for the questions to come up, uh, may I please request any of our panelists today to take up this issue where we have the celebration of Women's Day, where we are also organizing this panel discussion. But going down to the grassroots level, how much is it actually being done? Are the people, are the women who really need that kind of support from us, from society in general, are they really benefiting from this entire concept of Women's Day that we have? May I request any of the panelists to shed light on this, please? Yes, Mr. Chatterjee, could you please go ahead?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Basically, it is a very important question you have asked. It is, as we can see, this celebration cannot be restricted to only one day, as what the panel members rightly commented, that we are speaking of the gender equality, but there is, as Simrandeep was saying, there is a decision making required. There is a safety after 10 p.m. The parents do not ask their girl childs to roam around as they ask their maybe the boy child to be that much extravagant. So also the definition what she said is the decision making, the consent is required. So from that point of view, just celebrating in one day will not help the entire the what is the topic what we are discussing, but it has to be ingrained in our DNA. The each parent, be it a father or a mother, has to be extra vocal to practice that in their upbringing of their child. So what the within the connotation, the protection, what some of the members actually said, this protection is basically comes out of the perception, and this perception we have seen the evidence what is there in the there are hundreds of rapes which are going on in the society. There discrimination what is going on. But this, if I want to answer this question, there has two parts. One is the equality has to be through law. It cannot be just explanation and then practicing it in some industry. It has to be through a law, and a strict punishment has to be there if there is any discrimination. So from that angle, I think the gender equality is important if through enforcement of law. But if I say that the celebration has to be through for those unique women who have come out of their life, they have demonstrated how, despite having a male dominated society, how they have come out. So those things has to be inculcated in the chapters in the schools, in the primary schools, so that from the very beginning, if a child should not be adjudged by being of a female or a male or the third gender what we are discussing today. So I think that two parts are there. The gender equality, if we are saying, it has to be through law, and the other thing is the most important part. The celebration has to be every now and then, instead of only one day of March 8th.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chatterjee, for giving us your views regarding the matter. Yes, Ms. Simrandeep, would you like to add something?
Yes, I would just like to add just one line basically, and the panelist framed it very well, and he's absolutely right when he mentions all these points, and that is exactly what I just wanted to add on. So, until, according to me, until and unless there are, questions of all women are answered, and until and unless if today is the day when literally nowhere in the world is even one case of anything negative happening to a woman, if that is done, then I think this Women's Day needs to be brought into light and celebrated. Other than that, if there is no such thing happening, then I don't find the worth of a Women's Day celebration, basically. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you so much for adding to it. Mr. Anand had given us quite a few interesting points related to some of the do's and don'ts in the workplace. Could you please shed a little more light on that in terms of how is it that in your workspace you see those being implemented, the guidelines that you had enumerated for us earlier?
Yeah. Means how it is this gender equality need to be implemented in our workplace. That's what you are talking about.
Yes, since you had brought out a few interesting points
Yeah.
laid down by
Yes.
the UN towards moving towards gender
United Nations.
equality.
Just a moment. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Anand. As we are running short of time, I would request the panelists to please stick to 2 minutes to make their points, so that we can cover you all.
There are 15 gender parity indicators in the workplace. I will just say the names. One is the labor force participation rate. Second is professional and technical jobs. That is the ratio of female to male to be counted in the professional and technical jobs. Third is the leadership positions. Means for a male, how many female is there in the leadership positions who can uh, uh, take a decision on the policy terms as well. Fourth is the formal employment ratio of female to male. Fifth is the unpaid care work ratio female to male, for which female are maximum contributed to their home, and for which I have said that they have taken double duty both at the professional and the personal life as well. Sixth is in sixth part is related to gender equality in society. That is unmet need for family planning. Percentage of women who are deployed to unmet need for family planning. Seventh is the maternal mortality per 1 lakh births, because you may be aware of genital cutting at the birth age only. 8th is the education level of female to male, education level ratio uh, of female to male, and 10th is the digital education, that is AI and ML, that point I have highlighted. 11th is the legal protection index, that is the how comfortable female are means female employees are guaranteed in society as well as the professional space and in family as well. 12th is the political representation ratio. One of us has already highlighted the name of Smriti Irani, which our education minister has on date. And 13 is the sex ratio at birth of female to male.
Yes, Ms. Asmita.
And 14 is the child marriage, and last one is the violence against women in workplace. So by measuring all those gender parity indicators, we can measure the progress towards gender equality, and we can meet goal 5 of 17 goals devised by United Nations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ananda, for reiterating those interesting and thought-provoking points, things that we need to consider to move forward towards greater equality among the genders at the workplace as well. Is there any other panelists who would like to respond to any other points raised, or any of the members of the audience who would like to contribute at this point? Well, since there seems to be nothing else up for discussion at this point, I think it is safe to say that we have had a very interesting discussion, and we believe that moving towards gender equality seems to be the need of the hour. However, once that is attained, the aim is to look for nurturing and creating the uniqueness that each one of us represents and is able to bring to our respective workplaces and in life in general. With this, I would like to conclude this panel discussion. And before I hand over the screen to Ms. Asmita, I would like to convey my thanks to Jamshedpur Management Association for giving me the opportunity today to moderate the session. Thank you so much, very much, and over to you, Ms. Asmita.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shravasti. It was wonderfully moderated and wonderful insights were given by all the panelists. As we are now in the second second agenda of the session, I would now request Ms. Nina Chatrath to please take over the session and share her expertise with us.
Thank you so much. Can I be heard clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So very interesting discussion, and thank you for moderating it so well. And I can see that everybody is coming from their point of view, right? When you have a panel of, and I'm particularly happy to see that there was a good gender ratio in the discussion as well. We had some men participating, we had some women participating. It's always interesting to know how everyone's thinking about a very interesting topic. You know, the first time when Asmita shared this topic with me, which is about gender equality versus celebrating uniqueness, I was finding it very interesting because, you know, it lends itself to multiple perspectives as we saw everyone talk. But I said, why does it have to be at the cost of each other? Why is it an either or? Why should it be gender equality? And if you have gender equality, it has to be versus celebrating uniqueness. For me, and I very interestingly heard some people say that, and you know, I love the way she says that, you know, let's talk about normal people, right? So let's get the gender equality out of the way, and then let's move to celebrating uniqueness. So the point is that we're all unique in our own ways, and I think somebody pointed that out, right? That each one of us is an individual, and we're unique in our own ways. But having said that, We belong to a certain society. And when we belong to a certain society, there are some typecasts that are already there in the society. I may feel it a little less in Delhi. You may feel it a little more in some other parts of the country. And I'm completely conversant with that. I may not be part of that, but I'm conversant with that. But having said that, if you are a part of a society and there are certain inequalities that are meted out to you, and I am going to stay a little away from the home and the hearth because there's little much I can do there. But definitely in the workplace, if there are some inequalities that are being meted out to you, how are you equipped as an individual, as a professional to fight that inequality? And I really want you to ponder over this for a while, right? And I listen to a lot of women who have supposedly successful. All of us are successful in our own ways. If we've stepped out of the house and we've chosen to have a profession, chosen to live life by our own rules, we are all successful, right? But having said that, if I feel that in a certain environment, if I feel that in a certain organization, there are some policies that are not talking to, I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm not asking for any special preference. I'm completely with you when you say, why are we celebrating one day? Let's celebrate all the days for women, right? If I'm successful and I'm in an environment and I've chosen to work, and that's a conscious decision I have taken. And when I go into an environment and I see some inequalities, what is it that I as a professional doing about it? I think that's the first point I want to raise. I have been in those situations before. I have been in sales, no other woman in sales. If I felt that there was some things that was unequal, if I was not being considered for a role, I was not being considered for a position, I find myself capable, I would go and fight against that so-called inequality that I was meted out to, if I found it worth it, if I found that the cause was worth fighting. So one is that, right? And there are, everyone says it's a man's world, it's a man's world. I disagree. It is a world of a person who chooses to put their point of view forward. And if you're putting your point of view forward, and if you're not being emotional about it, and I'm not going to our prathas and our satis and our, somebody brought out another aspect of our ancient civilization and our ethos. I am talking today, and I'm talking a corporate professional woman who has chosen the right to work in a workplace. And how does she actually manage to convince and impact an environment and help them understand? If I would find that my colleague is being difficult with his wife, I would actually talk to him and say she's very much her own person, allow her to take her own decisions. I think it's when you choose to work, you have a right to speak and you have your point of view. How you put it across is your point. It's not about fighting, it's not about an emotional baggage, it's not about all that, but it's about helping people understand. Right now, I work with a lot of organizations across the globe, and I'm sorry, I disagree with somebody who said in India a lot of things are happening across the globe, and I'd like to repeat that in multiple companies that I work for, women representation in the workforce is limited. There's a host of things that countries are doing. Some countries are doing more than the others, and some countries are making policies, and some countries are making reservations happen so that we get the numbers a little manageable. And that's why we hear about these goals that have been set out, right? Once the numbers become better, then we talk about an equal platform. I was in my last regular job, I was in a company that was completely male dominated. I was the only woman there, and it was a fight on a daily basis. Now I can choose to fight on a daily basis, or I can say, you know what, do I really need to do this at this stage of my life? I'm successful. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. So I choose to step away after a year. I experienced it for a year, and I said, if I, being a person who does not hesitate to speak her mind, I am finding that in the heart of Delhi, in a very so-called professional organization, if I'm experiencing it, then anybody on earth can experience it, right? But how you make a change happen? Because for the longest time, I feel that these are very gender agnostic places. If you have merit and if you're doing well, and I think you must listen to Indra Nui, and I love the way she speaks, about some of the things. How did she reach that top job? Not very many people can make it. PepsiCo MD in another country. And when she talks about her intervening years when she was struggling, she says it very beautifully. She says, I said, I can't match the women in the US. They have looks. I don't have looks. So how can I be noticed? She said, I don't want to be noticed. I want my work to be noticed. I want to move up, but I want to move up on merit. And therefore, whatever somebody took on, I would do double than what the other person would take on. And that's how she made those quick moves in her career. And today, when she can look back and she says, I wanted to be better than them. How do I get better than them? The only way out is, what is your unique point that you're putting on the table? How are you better than the others? And it comes to my mind, when I was with this global firm, there was a gentleman, he is an organizational development professor at Harvard, very well-known person. And we were doing a road show. And in the road show, I think they were talking about leadership consulting. And he was observing, he was talking to a lot of leaders in India. And then he said to me, he said, I don't find too many women here. And I say, well, it's the same as it is across the globe, right? There are not too many women at the leadership because our conversion rates are so small. So while by the time you come here, you don't make it, you're just being edged out, pushed out, and you don't make it. He said to me then, he said, the women who come to the top, and if they are indeed the ones with a lot of merit and a lot of capability, because they're not coming on the top because of some network or because I know so and so and I know so and so, and there's this boys club and all. But if they make it to the top, they have come there through sheer grit, sheer resilience, and sheer hard work, and they can then be counted upon to deliver on the job that they. And that remained with me. What he said was so brilliant. So the point is that wherever we are, we may have an uneven, we may have an unfair, we may have a biased, we may have not the best of playing field, but what we make of it is entirely dependent on us, if we want to. And this is another learning that I've had in many years, there was a HR head of a very large company, and I was very keen because I really believe that women should take on leadership positions. And I used to keep telling him, you should do an intervention, let the women move ahead. Your conversion ratios are not looking good. So he said, okay, Nina, you talk about it all the time. Why don't you come and meet? I'll get some of my middle management women. I meet about 20, 25 of them. And I met them in a room. And he just left me be. And he says, okay, if you tell me out of these 25, whichever number you tell me are ready for promotions, I will not argue with you. We'll do a due diligence and I'll make sure that they get the job. It was a very serious conversation we had. And I met these women and I spent about 3.5 hours with them. We met in the morning and we finished at lunch. And I was trying to check over there saying which one of them has the caliber, which one of them has the drive, which one of them has the ambition to run ahead. There were 26 of them, I remember. It was very sad because at the end of 3.5 hours, I was forced to change my opinion and say that none of the 26 actually could be given the next role. And the reason I say that is because I asked them certain questions. Where's the fire in the belly? Where's the drive? What do you do? What next for you? How you? So I had a host of women saying, I'm supporting my husband in bringing money home. A host of them said, you know what? It's difficult for me to be here. I don't know for how long I can manage it. My in-laws need me, my children need me. So, and I'm not walking away from it at all. We all have responsibilities. And out of which one girl I thought I could really mentor. And I talked to her for a while. And she says, and we had a one-on-one conversation because I really thought she had the spark and she had the potential to go ahead. And she was doing so well. And then she sought me out one-on-one. And she said to me, she says, no, I don't want to. I don't wish to move ahead in this. I'm very happy at this level. I don't want to move ahead. And it was like me breaking my head against a wall with 26 bright, educated, smart women, each one capable of going ahead, but not wanting to. And that day I had to change my thinking. Not everyone wants to move ahead. Why do we make that assumption that everyone wants to move ahead? If Nina wants to move ahead, does not necessarily translate to everyone wants to move ahead. One of them says that, for 20 years I've been working, I've been slogging. I don't have time to enjoy. I want to sit back and I want to enjoy my children. High time I sat back. My husband's salary can more than take care of it. If it doesn't take care of it, too bad. Enough. At that point, I realized that, what, we women do have a choice. If I have chosen the tough path out, if I have chosen to slog and to stretch and to be happy in that, that's my world, right? So the point I'm trying to make with this conversation is, and it was very disappointing for me, don't get me wrong. But after that, I said, we women have a choice. And as a woman, your education shouldn't go to waste. Your education can actually get translated to your children doing very well, or in so many ways you can contribute to the society. You may take a couple of hours. There are very, very smart women I know, very well educated, who have chosen not to remain in a commercially viable role. They have chosen to go, the NGO way, the development sector way, or something else. But whatever is it that you choose to do. And there's another myth that I want to bust today about the ethical. Women are ethical. I'm sorry, I disagree. Today we have two big scandals in corporate India, Chanda Kochar and the Chitra woman. And they're both women standing at the helm of affairs. It's sad, it's pathetic, it's saddening, it's terrible. I don't have any words for it. But why would you want to put the ethics basket on my head? We're all human beings. We're all the same, men, women. The only place where I have done this study on a capability standpoint, where do women differ from men? And it's all scientific, it's all empirically proven, is that in the financial world, also women are there. They said there are two places where women at times need more, I won't say education, but more orientation, more mentoring. One is on the strategic, which is really about looking ahead and seeing which way does the organization go. Have I straddled all the viewpoints in terms of strategy? And I might be able to see the strategy unfold 3 years, 5 years. Now, holy cow, no one can see the strategy. Right? But there, and the second place where women at times tend to come back a little is risk taking. So these are the two areas where, in terms of strategy, and if they're given enough inputs on strategy, they'll do brilliantly well in that. And risk taking is something that women tend to be less of a risk taker. They're more risk cautious as opposed to men. The men would say, okay, let's take a risk over here. So these are the only two areas, and I've done enough and more study on this, which says, oh, women are caring. Says who? I mean, you're caring too. Let's not extrapolate it to an extent that we do not understand it. Yes, and I understand what she was sharing right now, the last speaker, and she said that, I'll probably think of the coffee and all, because we tend to look after our families, we tend to look after everyone, we will look after. But if you think that I am a team leader and I have a team with me and I'm only going to be caring, then you've got it all wrong. I'm sorry, I'm going to be as exacting as any other person would be in my role, right? So that's a very individual trait. The other thing about, that women, I'm sorry, add to the aesthetics, they are beautiful. I'm sorry, and I will say this, and there's no easy way to say this. Beauty has no place in a workplace. If you're wearing clothes which are out of whack and accentuating your beauty, you are doing yourself a disservice. Because as a woman, you need to celebrate your brain power and your merit and your capability. If you're leading with beauty, you can only go so far. In certain industries, maybe beauty has a premium, but in regular everyday life and wherever we work, where is the premium for beauty? Communication skills, which is again gender agnostic, is the one that you should focus on, not beauty. Yeah, you have to be presentable, you have to be well turned out, you have to wear clothes that are easy on the eye, that are comfortable. I find at times women at times do not realize the kind of clothes that they're wearing. They have to be careful about the clothes that they're wearing. Why would anybody want undue male attention? That's not the place. It's a workplace. That's the place where it's like a puja room. That's where you go to work, and you may have a nice cohort and develop healthy relationships with your colleagues. There are times, and there's somebody brought this out, and I think Mr. Chatterjee said that about confidence. And I cannot say it 100 times. Women are held back because of a certain kind of confidence in them. And I remember Boris Groysberg shared this with me. I didn't understand it back then, but I understand it very clearly today. He said that women, if they are 100% ready for a job and the job is handed over to them, they may put their hand up and say yes. A man, if he's about 70, 80%, he'll grab that job. If he's 50%, he has all the confidence, he'll again grab that job. A woman who's 100, and at times, even when she's 100% ready for the job, you need to convince her. You need to tell her you can do it. And I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe it is coming from, and you brought it out, all of the panelists have brought it out so beautifully. Where is this lack of confidence coming from? Is it coming from nurturing? Is it coming from, and I think one gentleman said it beautifully, in the sense that, they're just as good and they're so smart. We're getting the same education. Nobody should hold you back. And the last person who should hold you back is yourself. Why should you hold yourself back? You should be saying, even if you're 70% ready, you should have the confidence to say, yeah, I'll conquer this, man. Why would I not? So I think confidence is something that we need to build in ourselves. The confidence to be able to deliver, the stretch to be able to make sure that we have the capabilities to deliver. And also, to be able to know, there are many times when, networking becomes a very huge issue in organizations. And people say, why do women cannot network? I disagree. All my life, I have gone to conferences, I've gone to events. If I had anything to talk to anybody, or I want to check out something from anyone, I could walk up to somebody in a conference and say, you know what, I didn't understand that. Could you help me understand this? Networking doesn't mean that you're sitting late in the evening in a restaurant. Networking means within exploring opportunities in events, in conferences, and put your hand up and say, you know what, I want to understand that. Why shouldn't I want to? And now the whole world has moved to an online. The way we operate, the way we exist, the way we work is going to be so different going forward. It's always going to be hybrid. And today you can reach out, equip yourself, reach out for any online course that you wish to equip yourself to be employable, to be relevant, to be able to seek that next role that you think is due to you. It should ideally, in my head, should be completely gender agnostic. And if some policy is coming in the way, some inequality is coming in the way, go right ahead and make the right noise. Today, even by law, and I know one of the panelists made that point, even by law, I think even in a society that we live in, I think a girl child, even from an inheritance point of view, is being given her due. Up until now, it was very much a male dominated, and the inheritance will pass from the family to the male child. And now the girl child can go and very much seek. If there is a lack of a will, very clearly it gets equally divided to the next generation. So if your legal system can take that view, then God help me, why would a corporate not take that view and ensure that there is a gender equality syndrome existing in organization? And if there's some policy that's coming in the way of people not being treated equally, then there's very much a scope for you to make a change there, make a difference there. The other thing, the other day I was part of I was addressing somewhere, and I was given a whole lot of list of things that were being asked for by women, and they asked me whether this is right or wrong. And in that, there was a list of saying that special leave to be sanctioned to women for the time that they're menstruating, and if they want to avail of it. So my rationale on this is very clear. We all get certain number of leaves. Take those leaves for whatever reason you may want to. And I would not even want that any organization should have that in their agenda and the whole world should know when you're having your menses. I think that's ridiculous. I've gone through my entire professional life, and I can guarantee you that nobody ever knew what my condition was. And if I were uncomfortable, I would take a medicine and I would come back to work. Or if it is absolutely impossible, I would not go to work and I would take a sick leave. Sick leave is meant for that. So I don't think as women, if you've chosen to work in workplaces we need to have equal treatment being meted out. But yes, definitely. I remember I did some work for a manufacturing company, and there was no precedence of women going there. So there was no washroom. There were only a men washroom. So over there, then I had to make a noise saying that, I'm going to spend 12 hours in this manufacturing setup. Where do you expect me to go? I can't go out into the fields, right? And I can't use the men's washroom. So what is it that you're supposed to do? Where there is fairness and where this something should be done, definitely ask for it. But I don't think we need reservations of any kind. There's another thing that I wanted to share with all of you, and when you were talking about celebrating uniqueness. Today, at the higher, echelons of corporate world, we find very little women, very few women. And as you look at the board construct, there are even fewer women that can be asked to come and join a board, which is a completely corporate governance situation, right? Now, companies say that if a woman has not been in the top management, if she has not even experienced that, how can we possibly put her on the board? And they're well within the right to say that. Now, I think we need to watch out for conversions happening at every ratio. If they're happening naturally, if you have enough people joining at the base and the conversions are being looked at, then you will have women who will rise to the top. Professionally qualified, capable women. And those 26 women I talk about, and I can guarantee you, if I was consulting with an organization at the right point of time, I would not have allowed their thinking to go there. I would have sparked in them a spark which said, go out there and make your dreams happen. Don't kill your dreams. I'm sure some of them would have had the dreams to move ahead, but I think they started killing their dreams. So the organization need to do that. If you need to treat your women and do some conversations with women, you need to get some external women leaders to come and talk to your women so that they remain engaged and motivated and look ahead to their promotions, then do so by all means. You have to watch the numbers. Everything is going by data today. So even in the corporate world, even in the boards, the conversation that I was having, they have now said that you need to have an independent woman director. And it's by law that you need to have a independent director, a woman independent director. But now what they've done is that it started out the Companies Act 2013, stipulated that there should be a woman director, independent woman director, but not necessarily independent. So a lot of companies got their aunts and buas and tais to join the board. But now as we look at it, now they say it has to be necessarily independent. So if reservations are required in a certain situation, to make some numbers happen, some initial numbers happen, then do so by all means. But at another point of time, maybe there'll come a time when you will not need to put that number there. And then we will be in a situation that, there will be some push, some momentum. The other thing about celebrating uniqueness is really about, let's understand the world that we work in and the skills that we have. When we're talking about celebrating uniqueness and we're talking about we have some very, very few examples, very few examples. We have one Mary Tom or one Mary Com and one somebody and one somebody. And those numbers need to grow. And how will those numbers grow? So I think coming back to, household structure, coming back to celebrating the girl child, coming back to giving them the confidence, allowing them to have their own dreams, allowing them and motivating them to develop that skill and work on that skill so that they can move ahead in life and pursue their dreams. And I think that is very, very important. So the society has a role to play. And also, I think as individuals, as I mentor a lot of women. I'm in the corporate world. I mentor a huge number of women, and I mentor them towards a purposeful goal. I'm not saying go work there even if you don't enjoy it. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that if that is what you wish to do it to your best of abilities. Otherwise, you always have a choice to do something else that matches your skills and your attributes, and you can do something else where you can excel. So this is all I had to say in terms of gender equality and celebrating uniqueness. And there's just one more point I want to make. So in an organization that I'm working with, all this while we were doing a lot of work on the women. and trying to make the numbers happen, trying to, increase the ratios, till we realize that the biases in the organizations are not allowing that to happen. So today, as we talk, inclusion, leadership through inclusion. And I will go back to this lady who made that point about the third gender. Inclusion has to happen by that majority of the organization that has to include the minority. And I think leadership through inclusion is gaining a lot of ground, not just in India, but across the globe. In the US, for instance, many organizations are very US centric. For them, diversity, getting different people from different origins to be part of the team and to give them responsibility and make them part of your leadership has become a big agenda. It's not just about gender equality, it's also about diversity, inclusion, and equity. And I think a lot of work is being done, but obviously the work is being done by organizations that are more forward-looking, more progressive. And once we have number of them being more progressive in that, because right now, as we see through COVID, sustainability is a big thing. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a big thing today. The corporate governance has become an extremely important topic, and organizations are doing that. Environment is a very important aspect now. I think organizations, and I'm sure Tata is doing a huge amount of work in all of these areas. I see that some of you are from various Tata companies. So I'll take a little pause for a moment and see, just talking to myself, or am I talking to people? And let me see if there are some other thoughts. I'll be very happy to kind of answer any questions that you have, or if you have a comment to make, most happy to listen to you.
I just really want to thank you, ma'am, for for your thoughts. I mean, gave a really brilliant perspective to me, and I'm really glad to basically just hear you. I mean, got a chance to hear you. That makes me really glad. That's all I want to say.
Thank you so much. Who's that? Who was speaking just now?
This is Simrandeep, ma'am. This is Simrandeep.
Okay. No, thank you for that. At times I go off the tangent, so thank you for saying that. It makes some sense.
Somebody does need to go off the tangent. That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, actually,
thank you so much.
Sarabjit here. Ma'am, actually, that perception is the thing. What actually is driving from even with so much advancement in science, technology, we are saying that we are westernized, but the perception is still there. So that is the main challenge as on date. What I feel, as you rightly explained. We have to come out of that cell and demonstrate to the outer world. Yes, we do not need any extra protection, but still the perception remains in the back end of the mind that yes, women is the female child. So that is the challenge, I think.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And you're absolutely right. There's a lot of work to be done. We live in a society, and I must share a personal example. My daughter, I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is the second child, right? And they're both young adults now. And she's a very academically inclined child. So this time, and they're both in the US, and she was visiting me. And you know what? She asked me a question, and I didn't have the answer. She asked me a question. She says, Mom, if I was not into studies, would you have pushed me to learn cooking? Now, I found that very interesting because would I have not, I'm not much of a cook, but, I make sure that the house gets fed. My members in my family get fed, right? She was always spared because she was always studying. And we laugh and call her Professor Calculus in the house. But she actually asked me this question. I didn't have an answer. Because, the thing is that she's bright. I knew that she will, go the academic way, etc., etc. But would I? And then, I was asking my mother this question. I went back to my mother and I said, Mom, this is the question she's asked me. How should I have answered it? Or should I have answered it? I don't know the answer. So my mother said to me that, you are a smart one for asking me that. I never asked you to do any cooking. So you would have never asked her to learn how to cook, right? But having said that, today, my mother said these are life skills. And one panelist brought it out so beautifully saying, why is it all my responsibility? Why is it all a woman's responsibility? Even today with my husband and I, my husband has let go, loose. But if there's no food on the table, it's my responsibility to make sure food is on the table, right? So there is a very, our lines are drawn, and I'm another generation, but I'm sure my daughter will question that. She'll say, why is it my responsibility? Why is child rearing a woman's responsibility only? I remember when my children were born, my mother-in-law would tell my husband, let him sleep in the other room, he has to go to work the next morning. And I never complained because, that was fine because, he had to go to work. But today, if my daughter gets married, would she adopt the same attitude? I hope not. I hope not. So yeah, we are changing. It's taking time. We also live in a society, and I'm very cognizant of that. But the changes are so subtle. They're so gentle, But maybe there are changes, right?
Right, ma'am. Right.
Well, ma'am, I'm not a panelist, but I'd still like to say here that how interesting I found the comment that you made that you found among those 26 young women that they didn't really have the drive to move forward. That's coming as such a shock. I mean, one would assume that having reached a certain stage, you would only want to push yourself harder to go forward. And that is also true. I mean, I am through and through into academics. So in my field as well, I can share similar instances with you. Women, we've reached a certain age state, done the PhD. That's it. Why do you want to study any further? You've reached where you want to. So that entire notion also has to be broken down, not only in the mind of the families, but more importantly in the minds of the women themselves. I mean, that's a very difficult place to tell them that, there's no limit. There's nothing called thus far and no further. There's always a way to go ahead.
But you hit the nail on the head. You'll be surprised. I do not find women beyond a certain point of time, even now. I had 100 leaders whom I was developing in a very large organization. There were 2 women in 100. And when I was doing these little coaching sessions with them, both of them one-on-one told me, this is my last year, enough. And I was heartbroken. I went running to the promoter. I said, I don't care. You have to make sure that they continue because they are the role models for your company. If these two will go away, you will have a hard time convincing women to join your organization. So he heard me out. He had a conversation with both of them. Then he called me back and he told me, he says, they just don't want to. What can I do? And there were so many miles to go. I just couldn't understand. I had a chat with them again. One of them says, bahut ho gaya. I found it so upsetting. You can't. मेरी तो रात की नींद उड़ जाती है इन चीजों से. You've come so far. Why would you give it up? I mean, they said, nahi, ab ho gaya, bas ho gaya. And it's not that, and they're bright, they're smart, they're intelligent. They just say enough. So you're right, even, and our country also is really veering towards younger and younger leaders. And which is very good, but it can't be at the cost of older people. I firmly believe in that. I think right now I'm very happy gig economy is here. Even if you're retired, you're employable, you're relevant, organizations will take you back. And a lot of these companies are doing that. They're creating teams which are so interesting. Young MD, you'll have seasoned people, advisory board. I mean, the construct that's coming up today is really interesting. And I'm really glad because of COVID it's happened. Otherwise, it may not have happened. Because you now realize that there's this whole talent out there. And sadly enough, the women who are working full time during COVID have had the hardest time possible. I had this woman who was like mid-30s, very smart girl working in an organization. I was coaching her. And in one of the coaching sessions, she told me, she says, you know what, I cannot even convince my son that when I'm on the laptop and my door is closed, then I'm actually working. He said, no, mom, you go to the office, then it's fine. In the house, you can't. What do you do? He just comes, he bangs the door, he comes in. She said, what can I do? How do I convince them? How can I convince my in-laws that I'm actually working? The in-laws will say, "Cha beta khana laga do." What do you do? Middle of the call. It is not easy. I'm not even for a moment saying it's easy, but you have to struggle, you have to sacrifice, and you have to push your limits. That's the only way. Indra Nooyi says it. Who are we? She says every day was a struggle. Every day you toss your priorities and say, what ball can I catch? And what drops, don't feel guilty. Why should you feel guilty? I remember I was a working woman throughout. My daughter, I remember once I'd gone for some trip. I came back, her hair was not washed for 4 days. I just sat down on the floor, started crying. She looked at me. She was, I think, 9 or 10 years old. She looked at me very oddly. Why are you crying? I said, I feel so guilty. Can you imagine the wisdom of a 10-year-old? She looked at me. She said, Mom, look at it this way. I'll never be guilty. Which is a very, very big thing, she said. And that day my guilt vanished. I said, why am I feeling guilty? When my daughter is saying that because I've had a working mother all my life, she'll never be guilty. I think that's the change we need to make. Let them figure it out, and they all figure it out. All of them, my son, my daughter, they all figured it out. Mom is not there, fend for yourself. Kuch bhi kha lo, bread kha lo, ye kha lo, wo kha lo, kuch bhi kar lo. Why are we so busy becoming this A+ mom and A+ daughter-in-law and A+ wives? Why? Who's giving us marks? Why all this, this Devi and this Mata and all that? I think it's too much on our head. Why do we have to be brilliant? If I'm mediocre and everything and I'm brilliant in my work, I'm fine. And that's me. Somebody else may choose their priorities different. So I think we really take on too much on ourselves. And then when we fail, then we blame ourselves, we feel guilty. The first thing the women need to do is stop feeling guilty. Just completely stop feeling guilty. Do what makes you happy. It could be work, it could be house, it could be some social service, whatever you wish to do. But what makes you happy, right? The first thing you owe to yourself is happiness. First thing. And if that happiness is in making something nice for the family, do so by all means. But let somebody else also contribute. Let them also do it. And if one day you make khichdi and one day you make 4 dishes, it's absolutely fine. Don't feel guilty. I think that's the first thing women need to do. Celebrate yourself. Any other thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you so much for those points. That was a really hard reality check that we all needed. And some good facts that we keep on ignoring. Yeah. So moving on, I would like to invite our board member, Dr. Poornima Baliga, to please share her thoughts on this session.
Thank you so much, Ashmita, and good evening to all the wonderful ladies and the men who participated in this session, and a happy Women's Day to all. And it was wonderful. I think the time was really short, and we should have had a long day conversation on these because it's never ending. We can go on and on and on as women, but I must compliment Shravasti that you beautifully moderated and bringing out some of the reality checks, and that was wonderful. And to Nina Chatrath, I think hats off to you, my compliments on your invigorating thoughts and mesmerizing, motivating talk. I think a lot of women will now think that, okay, guilty is not the word that should be in our dictionary. That's very clear.
Thank you.
It's very important because you rightly put the nail on the head and said I've seen that, being a woman, we see that, and reaching a top, first thing they say is, oh, you broke a glass ceiling. What is that glass ceiling? I don't know. You go up by your own merit. However, I think all of you have spoken so well, there's not much of time left, but I can put it in a nutshell and say woman means she's a believer, she's a doer, and she's an achiever. I think in a nutshell, we can say all women are like that. March 8 is just a day that's given to women just to celebrate, when we highlight all the achievements and raise awareness and have talks like this, talking about gender equality, gender parity, And you see, every newspaper will have a lot of women highlighting their social, economic, and cultural achievements. I think it happens every day. But it's a day because we can't celebrate all days in a year, as somebody said. So one day in a year, it happens, and I think rightly so, women should be celebrated. And we ourselves should take the credit of celebrating our own selves. I think, oh no, come on, this is not that. What is so in a women's? There are many of my colleagues. What's so about Women's Day? Just like any other day. So what? So what's great? When I go back home, I'll have to cook. I have to take care of my children. So if that's the mentality that we were discussing about, it's very, very difficult. But I must compliment every panelist speaker who spoke so very well, and it was a diverse thinking, and that's what I really appreciated. And I must compliment the men who came up to talk about a topic on women, which was not so easy, and putting right points across. And I think if I say, currently we are inching towards a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, which may not be completely true, but a world where differences are valued and prejudices are often frowned upon. We don't like these prejudices and we make a noise. So it's very important, at least on this day, that we have to spread a message of gender equality and work towards making a society that's better where there is no gender bias. However much we may talk, every year we may celebrate, there's still an element of gender bias. And as Nina rightly put it, getting to the top, and there is very, very difficult for a woman. You have to really prove yourself, go up the hill in proving yourself in spite of having every merit. And as she also put it, a lot of women say, oh, is it worth all that doing all this and getting on top? Because at the end of the day, when you come back home, the scene is different. But I think let's break that myth and celebrate ourselves and make sure that every woman is unique in her own way and celebrated in her own way. And thank you, Asmita, and thanks to Jamshedpur Management Association for giving me this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to associate with this function this evening. I congratulate all the speakers. But end of the day, I think it's always, we have a competition where there is a winner. So I think Ashmita will make some announcement, after which we will go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, I would like to request you to please turn on your camera. We would love to see you.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had turned on. You should have told me earlier. Sorry. Extremely sorry.
No problem. So yes, we are at the end of this session, and Nina ma'am has given her judgment. We have the scores and it has been conveyed to Poornima ma'am. So there'll be one winner and a runner-up. So I request Poornima ma'am to please share the results with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Smita. It gives me pleasure to say that the first runner-up, if you call, or the second prize, is a tie. And there is gender equality in that, right? And it goes to Sarabjit Chatterjee and Moushami Bhakat. The second prize goes to them. And the winner of the day is Simrandeep Kaur. Congratulations to all of you and wish you all the very best.
Congratulations, winners.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I would like to request our winner, Ms. Simrandeep, to please introduce herself first and give your comments, winning remarks.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you so much again. It was really a wonderful opportunity. And so I'll just tell a brief about what I'm currently doing. So I have completed, I'm working in a healthcare domain. I'm an MTech in biotechnology, and I'm working with an organization, very coincidentally, a women's healthcare company dealing with women reproductive and sexual disorders. So, and I actually got to know about this opportunity through my father, who is an employee of Tata Motors. So he just kind of motivated me. He's like, why don't you go for it? And I was like, okay, sure. I submitted a write-up, didn't have an idea. And when I got the email this morning, I was really glad. And basically the thing that made me really happy was that I got another platform to voice my opinion. So that's something that I really, really, really appreciate. And I'm really glad I got to hear Nina ma'am and Poornima ma'am. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Simran. Mr. Sarabjit and Moushami, would you like to share something?
Hello, ma'am. Yeah, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm working with JCAPCPL. Here, I am actually working with the planning department. So here in this organization, I have been working since 5 years. So my complete corporate experience is 5 years. So when we talk about gender equality, this topic actually gave me to speak because of my company, the company where I'm working in. My co-colleagues, the men colleagues, are so well. Means there's so much. The people are so well being. Means they actually don't treat us as women. They give us the equal respect. They give us the equal treatment. They don't discriminate between women and men. And at the same time, they respect us for being women. They tell us that yes, you are equal. At the same time, you are a woman. You are more ahead than us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Moushami. So with this, I guess we are at the very end of the session. I would like to thank our esteemed guests, Ms. Nina Chatrath, Dr. Poornima Baliga, and Dr. Shravasti Chakravarty. You've been amazing, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. And we would love to collaborate on many things in future with all of you. So thank you so much for joining in us.
Thank you so much. Very wonderfully structured program, I must say. Very well done. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much for the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Ashmita and JMA, and have a good evening, all of you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you. Thank you to all the participants. This indeed turned into an intellectual celebration because of you all. And it was really assuring to see men and women both being involved in this topic. I believe it is safe to say that the world is definitely moving towards equality by celebrating uniqueness. Thank you, Aima, for helping us coordinate this session. And thank you all who joined in as audience as well. With this, I announce that the session has ended. Thank you again. For more upcoming events, please follow us on social media platforms. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.